Anyway, we're going to learn about, so this section is all about types of data and samples and types of samples and about when something is biased, if you take a survey or not take a survey. So the first thing that they talk about here is it says essential understanding. When you collect data to solve a problem, you need to make sure that the methods are fair and accurate, represent the results. You can collect data using measurements or categories. Quantitative data measure quantities that can be described numerically, such as test scores and ages. Qualitative data name qualities, which can be words or numbers, such as sports, or even zip codes, because a zip code is not really counting something, it's just describing. What would be another number that might not be quantitative? Might be another number that's not. What do you think there, Grace?
Social security number.
Social security number, very good. But you can tell something about where someone was born by their social security number. Can you? Do you start with a 5, Miss Lindgren?
No.
4?
4.
Okay, because she's from Iowa, right?
Right.
If you have it start with a 0, your social security number is back east somewhere, right? And I think if you're in California, anyone born in California here? You know your social security number? Or you
can just say it all.
No, I don't know it.
Okay. In Colorado, what are your social security numbers? Do you guys have social security numbers?
Yes.
I don't write it down for you.
What does it start with?
I think it's 3.
Does here it starts with a 5? Most of you guys
No, I
start
think
with
it
a 5?
starts with a 3.
Anyway, it starts with a 3.
What's your social security number?
Okay, so anyway, so quantitative has units and can be measured and numerically compared. For example, your age is 13 years old, your weight is 214 grams. Well, your weight wouldn't be, that wouldn't be very much if you weighed 200, that would be less than half a pound, right? Or a time is 23 minutes. A qualitative category describes a category that cannot be measured numerically or compared. For instance, you have brown hair, you are an optimistic person, or your zip code is 02125. Oh, Grace, you stole that from there. You didn't even see it there? Did you not even see that there? You just put it.
I didn't say zip code. I said
You
Social
said
security number.
social security number. I'm sorry. Okay. So, favorite movies. What do you think? Would that be qualitative or quantitative? Qualitative. Is this hard? Okay. Number of students in different schools who take Spanish. Qualitative or quantitative? Quantitative. Football jersey numbers.
Qualitative.
Qualitative, because it doesn't really tell you. It was like
That's a trick question.
how many. Yeah, that is kind of a trick because it was like how many players are on a football team, right? That would be quantitative, but this is just qualitative. Any questions about that? Easy? Okay. We'll move on to the next little thing, okay? Next little thing says, let's see if I can make this bigger. It looked better last night when I was on my, now I have to move all this stuff. Let me just, can I move that? Okay. So the kind of data you're working with determines the type of graph you use to display the data. A set of data that uses only one variable is called univariate. I would write that down, univariate. A set of data that uses 2 variables is called bivariate. Pretty easy, right? Unicycle, bicycle.
No.
Unicorn, bicorn. No, that doesn't work. Does it? Bicorn. All right, but a unicorn, no. Yeah, you don't call it camel or a horse with 2 horns of bicorn. Okay? Katen, it might be a good idea to write some of these things down. Writing it down will help you learn it, okay? The atomic weight, because I know you're going to come back on this worksheet, you're going to say, what does bivariate mean? What does univariate mean? Write it down, that way you'll have it when you do the worksheet, okay? So, so the atomic weights of the periodic table, is that a univariate or bivariate? Univariate. because there's only one thing going on there, right? If you're comparing the atomic weights of elements in a periodic table, there's only one thing. How about this one? The edge lengths. This isn't very big, but the edge lengths, there, I'll make it bigger. The edge lengths and the volumes of cubes. Bivariate, because you're comparing two things, okay? Because one thing changes after the other. So this would be bivariate, this would be univariate. This is kind of like a you try, all right?
Yes.
Heights and weights of animals, what do you think? Raise your hand. Here, I'll give you a point if you tell me what the heck. Okay, Ryan.
Bivariate.
Bivariate, very good.
I'll give a point in this for you.
Oh, Miss Lindgren has a sheet, okay? The cost of the internet service for several different providers. Raise your hands. Pick on Austin. Sorry if you univariate, very good. Okay, because there's only one thing going. Questions about that?
No.
Okay, univariate, bivariate. Do you need more time to write stuff down?
No.
Or is that good? Okay, that's good. All right, next thing they talk about here is types of sampling methods. Okay, I'm just going to make this part bigger and then we'll move this over. Oh, I want this to be in front. How do I get this in front and this behind? There is a way. Can I do this and move it? Or will this move it to the back?
No, hit the button on the right. You see the two boxes up there? Top left. No.
This?
Yeah.
Are you sure I'm not going to break something?
I don't know. Click it. Oh,
There one.
that's a different one.
Or did
Click
this-
it again.
Let's just say Austin, you messed me up. Okay? It's okay. I could just oh, great. Okay. No. Okay, let me, where was I? Here. Here. Let's just look at this. All right, you can see that, right? So this is in statisticians collect information about specific groups or objects of people. The entire group that you want information about is called a population. When a population is too large to survey, statisticians survey a part of it to find characteristics of the whole. The part of the survey that is surveyed is called a sample. 3 sampling methods are shown on the next page. When designing a survey, you should choose a sample that reflects the population. So, for example, okay, over here, it says, don't worry too much about, these are just types of samples. A random sample is surveying a population at random. Surveying people whose names are drawn out of a hat.
You need to write this down.
That would be a random, I would write it down. Yeah, you don't have to write down the examples, but you could write down what a random sample is, or you should just write down maybe some notes to yourself, you know. Putting it in your own words is one of the best ways to learn, okay? If you just copy blindly what they have there, here, let's try to make this a little bigger, okay? And it's better if you put it in your own words. So what's a random survey? Surveys whose names are drawn out of a hat, that it's random, right? You just pick anyone on the street. Systematic is when you select a number n at random, then survey every nth person. Select the number 5 at random, survey every 5th person, okay? So, for instance, if I wanted to do a survey of people who like the cafeteria food or who don't like the cafeteria food, I might do a systematic survey. I don't want to ask every single person in here, but I might say every 3rd person. So Aiden, then I'd go to, I don't know, to Aaron, and then I'd go every 3rd person. So I count by 3s and I go back. So that's a systematic survey, okay? Where you're picking on every 5th person, every 4th person, every 7th person or something, okay? So I think that might be what they do when they do like exit polls. Before the election, before they elect like people, they say, oh, and the exit polls say this, well, they don't ask every single person. They ask like every 10th person or something, because otherwise it'd be too much, you know. And then they compare that to the whole. Okay? A stratified sample is when you separate the sample into smaller groups, each with a certain characteristic. Then survey at random with each group. Okay? And you see that a lot in papers and stuff. You're always looking at the surveys. So separate a high school into 4 groups by grade level. Survey a random sample of students from each grade. So you might hear we might survey freshmen. We just actually did this, didn't we, Ms. Lindgren? Okay, with we had a, you know, those days when you guys don't have to come early, teachers are in meetings or something. We actually had a meeting and we want to see how many kids are using tutor time. Okay, so we did, as a school, we did a stratified survey. We did one survey for freshmen and sophomores. You guys took a survey about that, and then we took another survey for upperclassmen, juniors and seniors, to get an idea of who is using tutor time and who's not using tutor time, and so on and so forth. And
It was that survey you guys took during 3rd period that
yeah,
one day.
yeah. So we do. I mean, it's not like we're just making this stuff up. It actually is useful. Okay. So choosing a sample. Which type of survey do you think this is? You want to, or sampling method. You want to find out how many DVDs students at your school rent in a month. You interview every 10th teenager you see at a mall. What sampling method is being used?
Systematic.
What do you think there, Nolan? Yes, that's systematic. Is this a good sample? Why or why not?
No one.
What do you think, Orion?
Well, what if it's like a 30-year-old and they just look like a teenager?
Right,
Then
and
you're
also,
screwed.
you want to find out how many DVD students at your school. Where do you take the survey?
At your school?
No, it says at a mall, right? So probably this isn't going to reflect the students. It might, right? But like Orion said, you might be surveying 30. But they say teenagers, right? But also, it's not reflective of your school
But if you
necessarily.
see like a 30-year-old that looks like a teenager,
Yeah.
and you
I
feed
get
them,
no
That's right.
reasons for that.
Okay.
No one rents.
Okay. So the next thing says you revise your plan. Okay. We're going to make this bigger now. Okay. You revise your plan and interview all students leaving a school assembly who are wearing the school colors. Will this give a good sample of students? What are we trying to find out?
If it's a good sample.
Sample of people renting DVDs, right?
you're like,
Oh, I
Would
guess
that
it
be a
depends
good
on your
sample?
definition of good.
Why not?
Wait, are they comparing the DVDs to the school colors?
No, it just says you revise your plan and interview all students leaving the school
That's a
assembly
good one.
who are wearing school
Good
colors.
sample.
Will this plan give a good
But what are they
sample?
trying to find out by interviewing the kids wearing school colors?
I don't know.
What's their
Okay.
definition of good?
Well, then how do you know? if it's
Well,
good or
it's.
not?
I think it's a better sample than the last one, right? Because you're not at a mall, you're at your school. But still, maybe the kids wearing school colors, or the kids who like to. I don't know. I think it's better, but I don't think it's that one's great. Okay. So you understand those different types of surveys? Okay. Next thing, bias. Okay. I'm gonna just we'll move this. And look, we're almost done already. Okay. A survey has bias when it contains assumptions that may or may not be true. Bias can influence opinion and can make one answer seem better than another. Survey questions must be carefully worded to avoid bias. Okay? Here's a survey question. A reporter wants to find out what kinds of movies are most popular with local residents. The reporter asks, do you prefer exciting action movies or boring documentaries? Is the question biased?
yeah.
Why?
Because of adjective.
Yeah, because of
Saying
those.
it's boring, maybe.
Right. Yes. Who wants to watch a boring? Very good. So because the adjectives are kind of implying, you know, how. What if they said, how could I change that to make it unbiased? Chris?
Get rid of the adjectives.
Get rid of the adjectives. Do you prefer action movies or documentaries? That would be perfect. Hey, Miss Lindgren, give Chris a point. Okay? Wait, okay.
You could just like arrange the words differently, like you prefer do action.
Yeah, I would just take out the excite. Like Chris said, I would just take out the adjectives. Okay? Questions about that? Like in school, we're really not supposed to talk about our political affiliations, you know. So we don't want to say you like the, you know, our great president, or you like our.
Impressionable mind.
Yeah, we're not supposed to say that. Okay? So that's it. Do I have more on here? I do. So this is just another example of bias. And these are kind of fun problems to talk about. So hush. You want to determine what percentage of teenagers, that should say teenagers, teens, oh no, it should. Okay. Come on. Can you just pay attention for, we've been talking for 16 minutes now. Let's try to get through it. All right? You want to determine what percent of teens ages 14 to 18 watch wrestling on TV. At a school wrestling match, you ask every third teenager whether he or she watches wrestling on TV. How might this cause bias in your survey results? Raise your hand. Someone other than Orion. Someone other than who hasn't spoken said. Tor?
Because you're at a wrestling match.
Yeah, you're at a wrestling match. It'd be kind of silly to ask all the people at a wrestling match whether they like to watch wrestling on TV, right?
Well, depends if it's like.
What?
What if like they're like one of the athletes like sisters or brothers or something? They really don't like wrestling.
Oh, that's a good point. But still, it would be swayed toward people like wrestling, you know, I would think. Okay? Let's look at this last one, and then we'll be done, and then we'll give you a worksheet, and you can get to work. Okay?
Sick.
Sick. You want to know how many of your classmates have cell phones? Shh. Okay? To determine this, you send every classmate an email asking, do you own a cell phone? How might this method of gathering data affect the results of your survey? What do you think there, Michaela? Oh, Michaela's on top of this cell phone question. Go ahead.
Some people don't check their emails, so you might not get enough data or accurate data. And that's all. Like,
but if you haven't, I don't know if it's. Tori, what were you gonna say?
I don't know if you can afford it.
Yeah, hey, come on. So what Tor said, more on the lines, if you have a computer, or you have a cell phone, it might be more likely that you have a computer, right? Also, what else were you going to say, Jordan?
If you don't have a phone, you might not have an email.
If you don't have a phone, you might not have an email. Can you check your email on a cell phone?
Yes.
Most of you can. Yeah, you can check your email on your cell phone now, right? So if you're just sending the email to people with cell phones, maybe they're the only people who are receiving that info, right? Okay. So that one has a bunch of places for bias. Okay. So that's about it. We're going to end here. We're going to give you a work.